Howdy everyone, and today I got in the mood to rank some X-Men movies. I know I haven't made a video in quite some time. Don't question it, I'll explain it at another date, but it doesn't matter. We're gonna rank some X-Men movies. I've watched through all the Fox universe, just in time for Deadpool and Wolverine. So I thought, why not just rank them all and talk about my thoughts on it. We got the tiers, we got peak X-Men, we got great, we got good movie, we got I'm okay with you existing, we got I'm less okay with you existing, we got bad but really funny, and then we got why do you exist. So yeah, we're just gonna be ranking X-Men. Let's just jump right into it. First things first, we're going to rank X-Men 1, and I'm gonna put this in I'm gonna put this in good movie. I think the first X-Men 1 is a very fun movie, but a really bad X-Men film. And I think a big part of that is just because of the fact that it feels like it's very ashamed to be an X-Men film, you know? Like, look at something like Spider-Man, which came out like a year after this, I'm pretty sure. Spider-Man was unapologetically a Spider-Man film. They had Spider-Man elements baked into the film. With X-Men, they do have some like X-Men elements to it, and I appreciate that this has like its own unique vibe that it can stand out with, compared to some other movies that just feel like they're trying to be Spider-Man. And it makes sense why this feels different, because this came out before every superhero movie was trying to be Spider-Man. I just appreciate like it has like its own vibe it's trying to get captured. But again, my problem with this film really does come down to the fact that it just doesn't really feel like an X-Men film. Like Wolverine, for example. It feels like Wolverine and the X-Men, if that makes sense. Where it's less about the X-Men and more about Wolverine and his whole story arc. Like, Wolverine meets Rogue, right? Wolverine meets Rogue and has to help her. And I think their relationship is really well handled. I also like the fact that it ends with Rogue staying with the X-Men, and Wolverine kind of going on his own adventure and trying to find out who he is. But I think the problem comes with the fact that none of the X-Men in this movie are really that interesting. Of course, you have Charles Xavier, which Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier, great. You have Magneto, which as Ethan Magneto, who's played by Ethan McCullen, I think his name is. Correct me if I'm wrong. He's great. But then you have the three main X-Men that are in this movie. Storm, who is a wooden block. Jean, who in this movie is boring, but trust me, she gets way worse throughout the trilogy. And my least favorite out of the group, Cyclops, which sucks because Cyclops is one of my favorite X-Men members. He just sucks in these movies, man. Like, he does not get any better. Like, any of these movies that he's gonna appear in, he does not get any better. It just feels like this movie's kind of ashamed of the brand it's adapting, which is exactly what happened. And you can feel that shame in this movie, and I don't like that. I think overall, this movie is just kind of, it's just kind of whatever, as an X-Men film. But as a movie itself, it gets the job done, it's fun. I think I'm just gonna put this in. I'm okay with this movie existing. I think that's probably the best tier for it. I'm okay with this movie existing. It can keep living. I don't really care. Alright, next up, Daredevil. Alright, Daredevil. Let's put in why do you exist. Now, I have heard the director's cut of this movie is way better. I personally haven't seen it, so I wouldn't know, but when I'm talking about the movie itself, I think Daredevil is one of the weakest superhero movies I think I've ever seen. Let me get the good out of the way. I think the castings are really cool. I think Bullseye is really, really funny, and I think that Daredevil suit is really, really cool. I specifically like how, like, it's kind of, it gives that early 2000s vibe to it, you know? And I really would love to see that suit, or that style of suit, be revived one day. As for the bad, ooh, we got a lot. So, the beginning of the movie is very bad, but at the very least, it's very funny, you know? There's a lot of dumb moments. Like, there's a fight scene in a bar in the beginning of the movie where Daredevil is straight up just doing Tony Hawk tricks. And it makes for, in my opinion, a really, really, really fun scene. But outside of that one fight scene, every single other scene in this film is extremely boring or just annoying. Like, I hated Matt as a main character. Mainly because, like, he's just really weird. He's extremely cocky, and he doesn't really have that big of an arc except, I need to avenge my father. Like, he's, like, okay, so to just basically describe it, Matt, instead of helping Foggy, you know, instead of helping Foggy with his stuff, right, instead of, like, doing his job as a lawyer, Matt instead just tries to pursue Elektra for some reason. And, like, God, like, there's so much in this film that I just don't get. This does include the interesting fact that Kingpin was black in this film. That was interesting. That's the most interesting thing about the film. Yeah, I really got nothing else to say on this. Like, with a lot of the bottom of the barrel movies, if I don't really have much to say on it, I apologize. Like, I recorded this before, but I noticed that a lot of the movies, I just had nothing to say on it, so I'm trying to, like, come up with more stuff to say about it, you know, and kind of represent the movie better. And the best way I can describe Daredevil as a film is just it's just really, really boring. It's the biggest nothing burger I've ever watched. And there's somehow worse on this list, so be prepared, be prepared. Anyways, X2. I'm gonna put it in good movie. I'm gonna put it in good movie. You know, no, I'm gonna put this in great movie. I think X2 is fire. I think X2 is genuinely a really damn good movie. I was shocked watching this movie because, like, I expected something on a similar level of, like, the first one. But, like, watching X2, I genuinely got really excited. I got really invested in it. Like, I still didn't really get that invested in the main X-Men trio. Like, I still don't like Storm or Jean Grey. And I definitely don't like Scott, since they basically just kicked him out of the movie, like, 30 minutes in. But if you hear water sounds, that's my beautiful little dog. I love him. Anyways, the thing with X2 though, what I like is that they have another trio of X-Men that we follow, that Wolverine has to take care of. Pyro, Iceman, and Rogue. Again. But what I think this movie does a lot better is its character writing. I was genuinely really intrigued by Logan's story this time. Where I was kind of intrigued with him previously, here I feel like a lot more emphasis is put onto his story. I like the whole arc he had with, like, kind of accepting the fact that what Stryker made him do, or what Stryker made him, doesn't defy who he is. And I really also like basically the kid X-Men. I liked Iceman and Rogue's relationship a lot. I thought it was really cute. And I genuinely got sad when Rogue really felt like she couldn't really I guess, how would I describe it? I guess, like, really be there for Iceman because she can't touch her. He can't touch him without harming her. I also just like Pyro's kind of slow descent to madness as he kind of just slowly starts to agree more with Magneto. And yeah, like, it was really intriguing to see. And I also really enjoyed the whole scene with Iceman kind of having to tell his parents that he's a mutant, and his parents just kind of not liking it. You can tell they're trying to be supportive, but they just hate that. They just hate it, and they're ashamed. It was really real. It feels strangely like realistic. I think what this movie does best is really does kind of, I guess, feel less embarrassed of being an X-Men film. Where a lot of its ideas feel way more at home with X-Men. Like, X-Men to me, you know, yes, you have the allegories for, like, oppression and stuff like that, but you also have the grand scope of the X-Men. You have the grand scope of the X-Men. I'm stuttering a lot. You have the fantastic character writing, you know, and the more character-driven stories. And that's kind of what I look for in an X-Men story, you know? I hope I made sense with that. I feel like this movie does that better than, I would say, X1 did. I still think there are, like, some issues with the film. I still think there are some issues, like, I don't like the fact that how Magneto comes pretty late into the story, even if I did enjoy him way more in this movie than I did in the first. Where in the first, Magneto kind of, you know, he kind of felt like just a standard Saturday morning cartoon villain, but here you kind of see what his point is, you know? Yeah, I got nothing else to say except good movie. I really like it. It's going great. Next up, Elektra. I'm putting it probably, if I can't get there, I'm putting it over Daredevil. Now, this movie has some really, really bad reviews. I was scared to watch this film, mainly because, like, everything I heard about this film did not excite me at all. I heard, like, the fact that this is one of the worst superhero movies to ever exist, and I was not looking forward to that. It's not that bad. It's really not that bad. Do I think it's a great movie? Absolutely not. Do I think it's even, like, an okay movie? No. But, like, what's the Rotten Tomatoes on this? I don't think it deserves that. I don't think it deserves to be, like, worse than Daredevil, you know? Hell, I don't even think it's worse than, like, a good chunk of these movies. Because what I think Elektra does is it has a plot with character writing. It's somewhat focused. The main villain is essentially just an anime character. I really don't have much to say about this movie. It's just kind of really boring. Like, Daredevil was boring, don't get me wrong. But, like, it was just more of just the fact that, like, I could stomach how boring Elektra is compared to how boring Daredevil was, if that makes sense. I don't think Elektra's that bad, personally. That's just me. Like, if Daredevil was like a 2, Elektra would be like a 3 or 4. That's just me, though. Actually, 4 is kind of treading a little bit more into the fact that, like, you know, there's, like, a lot of redeeming qualities to it, where in reality, it just has some stuff that is slightly better than Daredevil, and it's also shorter, so I don't know what you want me to say. Alright, next up we got a Fantastic Four. I'm okay with you existing. I'm okay with Fantastic Four existing. I think this movie isn't that bad. I don't think the Fantastic Four is that bad of a movie, which shocked me, to be honest, because I a story time. Here's a story time. I remember I hated this film as a youngling. When I was like probably 11 and like starting to get into Marvel Comics, I started watching like a lot of the Marvel movies, like some of the more obscure ones. That's how I watched Blade or Spider-Man 2, something else. But I remember I watched this one on Netflix, and all I can think of was just like, this sucks. This sucks. And I was 11, so like, going back to it, I thought like, well, if 11-year-old me hated this, then I wonder what a fully grown me would think of it now. I surely must still hate it. And again, I am here to say, it's not that bad. It's really not that bad. Is this a great film? No. But I think this film does enough to really engage me, you know? Like, I like the main Fantastic Four group. Except Sue Storm, and I'll explain in a minute why. But like, I like the main Fantastic Four group in this film. I think all of them were like really, really fun. I understood like Thing's whole like arc of like kind of feeling outcast, and I genuinely got happy for him when he found someone who accepted him for him. Even if I think it's kind of ironic that was a blind person. But whatever. It's a cute way to give him like some sort of happiness. I liked Human Torch a lot in this film. I liked Human Torch a lot. Reed was very fun. I really enjoyed Reed. And the main reason why I didn't like Sue is just I think her whole thing with Reed was just a little bit nonsensical.
Hi, this is Editing Delvin here, going back to the audio, and noticed that I did not explain my point at all. So let me kind of re-explain myself. My problem with Sue was the fact that she wanted Reed to get married immediately when Reed said he wasn't ready. And that kind of made her, in my opinion, kind of unlikable. And I can't really relate to her in that sense. I don't know, it's just weird, you know? It's a weird thing to get mad at someone for. But I don't know, what do you guys think?
I don't really know how to describe it. But yeah, I just couldn't really get into her as a character. And same with Doctor Doom. I really didn't like Doctor Doom in this film. I thought Doctor Doom was just straight up annoying. Because, like, he wasn't really that interesting of a villain, and all he really did, all his only purpose was to just be like, yeah, guys, it's me, Doctor Doom, I'm the evil guy. Maybe I'm poorly representing the Doctor Doom, and Doctor Doom is secretly one of the greatest villains of our modern generation. But, like, I just didn't like him in this film. I'm just straight up, I didn't like Doctor Doom at all in this film. And I don't know, like, a lot of this film I just kind of enjoyed more than I thought I would, to be honest. It's a genuinely really fun time, and I didn't hate my time with this movie. I watched it with a friend because I watched a lot of the bad movies with friends, mainly because I thought it would be a little more easier to stomach with friends by my side. And by the time we were done, we all kind of agreed upon each other that, yeah, this wasn't that bad. Yeah, we all enjoyed it just fine enough. Again, it's not a masterpiece, but you know, it's a good movie. I enjoyed it. It's going in I'm Okay With You Exist. X-Men Last Stand. I hated this film. Actually, no, I'll put it above Daredevil. I hated the film. I straight up did not like X-Men Last Stand. Okay, so like we got a decent evolution of the X-Men formula with the first and second. So naturally, we immediately destroy everything we build. Like Magneto, we make him more like likable as a villain. We immediately destroy that. Make him back to a one-note villain while still trying to do what we were trying to do, but we're not really doing it, so there's not really that much of a point of doing it. Also, Cyclops, we didn't really use him last movie. This will be the perfect movie to actually use him with and actually kind of establish his relationship with Jean a little bit better. Now let's just kill him in the first 40 minutes and make sure that man's dead. Make sure he does not make a comeback at all. Like, I legit, watching this film, I legit thought, like, in my head, like, oh yeah, Cyclops is coming back. Yeah, we're gonna see Cyclops again. And we just never do. We just never do. He just never comes back. And, god man, this movie makes me so angry. And that Wolverine went from a character with a lot of depth into him to now someone who's just kind of very obsessive over Jean. And like, it's so frustrating. Like, Jean is such a nothing character in this universe. Like, they don't really do much to really get you interested in Jean's character. They don't really do much to get you interested with Jean, or really justify why everyone loves Jean so much. When in reality, Jean is so frustratingly annoying in this universe. The fact that I just roll my eyes at half the stuff that happens with her. It's just like, it's just frustrating, man. That's really all I can say. Like, this movie is just really, really frustrating. And, god, man, so much about this movie just makes me so upset. I actually might make this a whole video. I honestly might make that stand a whole video. I want to talk about how horrible this film is. But I don't really have that time on me right now, so we'll just ignore that and move on to the next movie. Like, I'm sorry if I just didn't really properly represent it. I just like, man, screw this movie, man. Screw this movie. X-Men Origins Wolverine, bad but really funny. After X-Men Last Stand, I genuinely thought I was not gonna have a fun time with this one. And that's mainly because of the fact that, like, I've heard some horrible things about this movie. But I am happy to say, with all my heart, while this is a really bad movie, it's also really, really, really funny. I really had a good time with this film. This is probably, in my opinion, one of the funniest movies I've ever watched, and a lot of it is not intentional. I watched this with my sibling, and we just both just kept on making fun of how stupid this film was. We were just like dogging on it any chance we got. It was so stupid. It was so stupid. Like, one of my favorite scenes in this film is just Stryker explaining his plan to Logan. It's just the most complicated and convoluted shit I have ever heard in a film. And it just made me laugh so much hearing it. Because, let me just try to do my best impression of it. You see, Logan, it's quite simple. We decided, after you leave our Stryker group, so we decided to come up with a foolproof plan to get you back here. So here's the plan. I give you a wife. We kill said wife. Then, you'll be so mad that you'll fight Sabretooth and lose. You'll be so mad that you lost against Sabretooth that you'll come to me. You'll come to me, right? You'll come to me. You ask for the metal skeleton. Or at least I offer you the metal skeleton. We give you the metal skeleton. I try to wipe your memory. Even though you're right in my quarters, I will wipe your memory. You get mad. You'll kill people. Of course, you'll kill people. Then, when all is said and done, I'll reveal myself. I reveal my foolproof plan. After a whole movie worth, I'll reveal my full proof hand to you. And I'll also reveal that your wife isn't real. Or something like that. Maybe I misrepresented it a bit, but it was just so stupid. It was just so stupid that I can't help but love it, you know? There's so many, like, this movie's lives are so dumb and they're so predictable, and I love them. I love them so much. Like, this movie has so many stuff that is just so stupid that, again, I can't help but love it, you know? I really don't know what else to say. Like, this is just I really want to talk more about this movie, but at the same time, I want people to watch this. I want people to watch this with people and just laugh away. There's so much about this movie that is just so dumb and so ridiculous that, like, just watch the film. Please, go watch it. You won't regret it. Go watch it. Alright, next up. Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. Up until above the original Fantastic Four. I also heard pretty bad things about this one. And I expected this one to be at least way worse than the original. But to my shock, it's actually not that bad. Or at least not as bad as some people put it to be. Is it an incredibly boring film at times? Yeah, but like, I still had fun. I like Johnny's whole arc of kind of learning that he needs to mature. And learning that, you know, he can't really keep up the same Johnny Storm act that he's had for long. Johnny's really... I really also like the whole conflict with Reed and Sue. Sue's a lot more bearable in this film. Like, Sue is way more likable in the film. Like, it seems like the stuff that she's actually getting mad at makes more sense. And I like how she bounces off Reed a lot. It makes for a very interesting dynamic. That's really it. Like, it's just the same film except Silver Surfer's here, but Silver Surfer is just kind of there. Like, I'm not the biggest Silver Surfer fan. I haven't read too much of his comics, but like, yeah, this is Silver Surfer, alright. Not much more to say, except, it's okay movie. I enjoy it. Alright, The Wolverine. I don't know if that was the next film. I think it was First Class. Is this even in the right order? No, it's not. I think Logan is Logan after Deadpool? Ah, God, this is such a weird order. Pretty sure Apocalypse is here. Okay, whatever. Let's do First Class then. I'm putting First Class in great movie, and I'm gonna put it above X2. First Class, in my opinion, is the first really good X-Men film. Not the first really good movie, but the first really good X-Men film. X1 and X2 are good movies, don't get me wrong, but they're not really all that great X-Men films. Even if I think X2 had way more elements that felt more like X-Men. This one feels way more like an X-Men film, you know? The scope is there, it's telling the story between what happened with Xavier and Eric. And I like the fact that it builds up to like all of these events happening at once. And like there's a lot of cool scenes in this film. Like one of my personal favorite scenes is seeing Charles teach these mutants how they use their powers. And how he genuinely gets really excited when they kind of finally get the gist of their powers. I don't remember who plays Charles. I don't remember the actors' names. But like, he did a great job with this role. Everyone did a great job. It really did. You could really feel like the passion with this film, you know? And I like I liked pretty much every scene where Charles is just talking about, like, mutants. Because you could tell the passion from his character. You could tell the passion of him wanting mutants and humans to live together in harmony. Also, I loved Magneto in this film. I genuinely loved Magneto in this film. How he feels like he was wronged by humans. He was wronged by humans because of his childhood. And now he kind of has, like, this vendetta against them. Because, you know, they oppress over him. They tried to make laws to try to get mutants out of their lives. And it gets to a point where you start to kind of feel bad for Magneto, which is something that I wanted from the previous movies. And I also like the fact that they kind of make Mystique more, like, likable, because Mystique was just essentially another wooden plank. But here in this movie, they do way more to kind of make you understand why Mystique likes being around Eric, and why she agrees with Magneto. And I also just really enjoyed just, like, Mystique and Beast's relationship and how they kind of parallel each other, where Beast is ashamed of his mutant powers while Mystique slowly starts to embrace them more. If I do have one complaint with this film, it will be that I'm not that interested in the other sets of mutants. I'm not that interested in them. Like, there was one girl who was a dancer who had wings. There's another guy who's a taxi driver who can adapt to any situation, but he couldn't adapt to him dying. There's a guy who was essentially just Pyro, but with fire wheels. That's really it. Like, they weren't really all that memorable outside of course, Beast and Mystique. And there's also the infamous line of, like, you should be Magneto, and you should be Professor X. Like, come on, that's a little corny. That's corny. But, like, outside of all of that, I still really, really like X-Men First Class. And this is one movie that I've seen before and loved. And while I loved it a bit less rewatching it, because it was originally my favorite X-Men movie, while I liked it a bit less before rewatching it, I kind of am happy I'm happy that I went back to this film. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, next up. The Wolverine. I'm gonna put it in a good movie. Now, this movie could have been great. It could have even been in peak X-Men. Like, this movie could have been one of the greats. But that final act, dude, oh my god, dude, that final act was so bad. My thing with the Wolverine is this. The first two acts are really good. The first two acts are genuinely really great. There's a lot of great action. Wolverine has a good arc that really does build off well to Last Stand, which is a compliment I thought I would never give. There's a lot of good in this movie. And I think this movie, if it stuck the landing perfectly, probably would be regarded as one of the best X-Men films. The problem is that ending is so jarring, you know? Let me just explain. So, like, this entire plot revolved around Wolverine coming back to Tokyo because the person he saved years ago wants to thank him before he passes. And right when he does pass, basically his granddaughter is now in danger. And he needs to protect his granddaughter. And there's a lot of great scenes in this film. There's a lot of great bonding scenes between him and his old partner, his granddaughter. There's a lot of great, like, action segments. The train segment was so cool to watch. and genuinely had great CGI. I genuinely had a lot of fun seeing Wolverine walk around a very Japan setting, because Wolverine has like a lot of Japan culture in his character, like Japanese culture in his character. So it's interesting to see like this version of Wolverine, who's a little more hot-headed and is a little more ignorant, kind of explore that kind of culture and see like how different it is, And the action segments again are really good up until the final act. Oh yeah, and there's one scene I want to talk about before I talk about the final act. There's one scene in this movie where Wolverine is trying to get the bug out of his heart, because throughout this entire movie, which makes the movie very engaging, throughout the entire movie, he did not have his health regen. But he figures out that it's a parasite that's keeping his health regen, like, from not working. And it's very tense seeing that him rip that parasite out, while also having like the other character fight one of the samurais and trying to kill Wolverine while he's doing that. It was a very tense scene, and you didn't know where it was gonna go, and it was really, really exciting, and just like, God, why did this movie fumble at the third act? Okay, so the third act essentially, like, there's this serpent lady who's essentially like this second main bad guy, because the real main bad guy gets revealed as Silver Samurai. And this movie had like this theme of like, oops, did not mean to do that. This movie had like this theme of like, what is it okay to honor someone's legacy if that legacy is truly evil, right? But the end kind of like fits on that, because the guy I was talking about in the beginning of the segment, he comes back to life, and it's revealed that he actually always wanted this. So it kind of leaves like a very dissatisfied taste in my mouth, that like the movie didn't really think I was smart enough to figure it out on my own, so they just have to spell it out to me. And not only that, the movie just becomes way sloppier in this like segment, almost like it's trying to finish itself. Like, it's like, alright, that's enough, let's just wrap it up, everyone, wrap it up. And again, it makes for a final segment that just feels really rushed, and it just disappoints me. I don't think it's a bad film. Far from it. Those first two acts are worth watching the movie for alone. It's just, I feel like this could have been done so much better than it was actually done, Next up. Days of Future Past. Peak X-Men. Peak X-Men. This is Peak X-Men. Now, Days of Future Past is one of my personal favorite X-Men stories. I think it is such an interesting story. I think it's handled really well. It even includes one of my personal favorite X-Men characters, Kitty Pryde. I don't mind how this story was handled. I get that sending Kitty Pryde back would not really bring people like into the seat as much as sending Wolverine back. And I get it because like this is essentially supposed to be a celebration and like kind of a finale to the OG X-Men timeline, which is X1, X2, X-Men Origins, the Wolverine, and you. But even the X-Men, this movie tries to kind of retcon what happened with Last Stand. And kind of just decanonize it and give these guys like one final hurrah. And it makes for a movie that I was genuinely really interested in. It also attempts to start like a new timeline, a new X-Men timeline, where it can move on from its older like movies and stop following that continuity and start a brand new continuity. And while in foresight that was a bad idea, it was genuinely exciting at the time to see them try to experiment and try to like bring new life to this franchise. Everything about this movie to me is just perfect. The story is really engaging. and you're genuinely really invested with what goes on with Mystique. You know, why she wants to do this, why she's kind of clouded in her own judgment, not knowing what's actually coming. I liked how Charles kind of is a little more lost in this movie, where how he lost his faith in humanity before slowly regaining that passion back. It was really intriguing to watch and see in real time. I think, to me at least, where this movie really shines is that middle portion. Because everything's basically established while there's still other surprises, and it kind of bounces back and forth to like future to past, future to past, future past. And it's really intriguing to watch, and it's really intriguing to... It's just investing. It's very investing. It's just a great movie. That's really all I want to say. If you want to watch any movie from this list outside of another one, watch this one. This one's cool. And this one even includes the iconic Quicksilver scene, man. Like, ooh, when that movie came out, I was obsessed with Quicksilver. I was all over Quicksilver, man. This came out around the same time Age of Ultron came out. And I thought this movie did Quicksilver way better than Age of Ultron. He was so cool in this film. He was so cool. Immediate peak X-Men. Peak X-Men. Alright, God. Okay. I'm a little nervous. Oh my god. I don't know what that was. I'm a little nervous to talk about this one, but yeah. Fan Four Stick. I'm not calling it Fantastic Four, it's Fan Four Stick, just to differentiate it from 2005. This movie sucks. This movie sucks hard. This is probably one of the worst films I have ever seen. And it's to the point where I almost have nothing to say about it. Because what I think this movie does, it's just nothing. What this movie does is just nothing. So, like, the first half of the film is literally just trying to establish that, yes, they are going to space. Yes, they are trying to build this whole teleporter thing. The middle portion is just, we just see the Fantastic Four with their powers. And then the end is when we really see them work as a team. Like, something that I appreciate from the first two Fantastic Four movies is that they immediately jump straight into it. They immediately jump straight into it and not waste your time. They didn't waste your time trying to over-explain something that you already know, and they just immediately jumped into it. While here, there's a shorter runtime, but they spend that runtime just reaffirming to you the same information. This movie was so boring that I was watching it with my brother, and he just immediately left. He just, like, 30 minutes in, he just left. Because, like, it is so boring. Like, this movie literally has nothing going on. This movie literally has nothing of actual note that's going on. Nothing that's actually interesting that goes on. So you're just waiting till something actually happens, which doesn't happen till the end of the movie. And the thing is, there's stuff that do try to make this movie more interesting. There's scenes that do try to make this movie more interesting and try to establish, like, more, like, I guess, more interesting... I'm trying to find the right words for it. It's more interesting plot lines, I guess. The problem with that is the simple fact that the movie doesn't push itself hard enough in that direction. Like, there's an arc that's established that Human Torch likes being a superhero and likes being in the spotlight. Because it's his way of doing something good for people. But there's no conclusion to that arc. There's no conclusion or realization of that. Just like, this is like, I have almost nothing to say about this movie. I genuinely have almost nothing to say about this movie. So, yeah. That's really it. This movie just sucks. Yeah, why do you exist? That's what I'm searched. Why do you exist? Alright, Deadpool. Alright, Deadpool 1... I'm gonna do Deadpool 1 and 2 together, if that makes sense. I'm gonna do Deadpool 1 and 2 together. Because I think I've had very similar thoughts about both of these movies. I'm gonna put Deadpool 1 in I'm okay with you existing. And I'm gonna put not you, we'll get to you. Deadpool 2 in I'm okay with you existing as well. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna put Deadpool 1 in good movie. And I think the thing with Deadpool 1 is that it's way more tighter of a movie. I think Deadpool 1's way more tighter of a movie, but Deadpool 2 has a lot more like funny moments, and it has a lot more moments that I really found really funny, but it was way more messy to me. Deadpool 1 to me was just a really intriguing movie about a guy who didn't want his fiance to suffer the same fate that he did. And it made for a movie that I was genuinely invested in. I didn't hate this movie, you know? The one thing I genuinely hated about this film was just its horrible humor. Like, there's a scene in this film that just doesn't stop. It's literally just one of Wade's friends just literally saying, you look like if watermelon and another watermelon had sex, but they had a baby and it just got halfway, and she's like, no, that's fine. You look like if Super Mario did crack. And I don't know where I was going with that one. I just didn't like the humor of this film. There wasn't really much jokes that made me laugh. But there were some like highlights with the movie, its plot in general. Deadpool's humor is just not for me personally. Like, I'm not that big on meta humor. It's never really been my thing. But I can understand why it could be someone else's thing. If that makes sense. Because, like, the thing with meta humor is that there is such thing as doing too much, which I do appreciate. I will say, I'll give the movie this. It doesn't do too much. It really does, like, try to hold, like, kind of, like, freeze itself sometimes when, like, hey, okay, that's too much. And does remember, like, it's trying to invest you in this world, you know? It's trying to invest you. So it's not trying to do too much of that fourth wall humor, which I do like. But with Deadpool 2, it has a lot more jokes I do like. Like, for example, my personal favorite is like, you killed Black Tim, you racist! I said that wrong. There's just way more jokes that I found really funny, but it's the cost of a movie that I feel is a lot less focused, you know? It's a movie that's a lot less focused than I would want it to be. Yeah, that's pretty much all my thoughts on these movies. Like, I think Deadpool 1 is overall the better movie, but Deadpool 2, in my opinion, is the funnier movie. So yeah, that's basically all I gotta say about these two movies. We'll get to Deadpool and Wolverine. That's its own segment. But, yeah, good movies. Next up, X-Men Apocalypse. I'm gonna put this in... I'm gonna put this in less than... I'm less okay with you existing. Okay, so X-Men Apocalypse. My thing on X-Men Apocalypse is this. I think this movie had the potential to be cool, but where it really fumbles is just the fact that it's three factors. One, there's not really that much chemistry with the new X-Men team. Like, yeah, you got Like, you finally get Jean Grey, you finally get Cyclops, you finally get, like, Storm, you finally get, like, your own, like, this universe's own X-Men. Yeah, you finally get this universe's own X-Men, but, like, it's still not very good. It's still not very interesting at all. It's just kind of more frustrating that they fumbled this twice. Like, I don't know if this one they were actually trying. They had no Wolverine to focus on. This one, they were actually trying to make them interesting, and they still failed. Like, they just don't do much with these characters, man. They just don't do much with these characters, and it really disappoints me because I love these characters. I love these characters in the comics, yet they just don't do much with them in this universe, and it makes me so mad. I really wanted to like Apocalypse because I like basically any other contribution that Oscar Isaac has given to the Marvel Universe. But Apocalypse is such a boring villain and such a nothing villain that honestly I can just care less. And probably my biggest thing with this movie is that at worst it's really boring, but at best it's really funny. So you're just kind of bouncing off between like, okay, you're really boring. Oh no, oh no, this movie's like really funny. No, it's boring. No, it's funny. The one character I genuinely love from this film, the one character I can genuinely look at you straight in the eye and say I love him, is Quicksilver. Quicksilver is in this film. He's way more in this film, and I genuinely loved him every time he appeared. But outside of Quicksilver, I just don't care. I just don't care, to be honest. Like, this is just a nothing film to me. And that's really the best way I can put it. It's just nothing. Yeah, that's all I gotta say about Apocalypse. Okay, Logan. Peak X-Men once more. And it is the best X-Men film to ever release. I don't think anyone's gonna argue with me with that, so let's move on. No, I'm playing. I love Logan. I think pretty much anyone can tell you Logan's a great film. Anyone who's seen it, at least. Logan is one of the best Marvel films to ever release, to the point that it's kind of an embarrassment to the rest of the universe. Because yeah, the rest of the universe is good. There's good in some of the other stuff in the universe, but like, it's not as good as Logan. None of them are as good as Logan. Where do we even start with this film? Like, the heartfelt drama in this film. I love Daphne Keane as X-23. It's still one of my favorite comic book castings, and I was super excited to see her come back as Deadpool. I love just Logan as a character. This version of Logan is way more hot-headed, and that's put into full perspective in this film. And I think they handle it genuinely the best way they can. And the way they kill him off is genuinely a very heartbreaking moment. It's very mature, for lack of better words. It feels like if this is how they would end the X-Men universe, I would think this universe will be a lot better remembered than it is today. Logan is such a great movie. Everything Logan achieves in this universe, everything Logan achieves, it's just done so well. It's like, if you have not seen Logan, please watch this movie. It's genuinely phenomenal. Alright. Dark Phoenix, I don't gotta tell you twice. Yeah, I love it. Last Stand. I don't have much to say about this film, to be honest with you. I don't know how many times I said that in this video. If I said that a lot, I'm sorry, but like, I don't got much to say on this film. This film it's just really bad. This film is just like really, really bad. It's boring. They take Quicksilver out in the first like 20 minutes? I don't remember when they take him out. They take him out, right? So there's genuinely nothing to enjoy. Magneto basically goes through the same arc like multiple times. Like, I didn't mention this with Apocalypse, but like they literally do the same stuff with Magneto in all these movies. They literally just do the same shit with him. And annoying every time. Mystique in this movie is worse than she was in the previous movies, which is weird. Like, these movies aren't bad. Yes, they are. What am I doing? What am I saying? Yes, they are. They're awful. But like, I don't think they're as bad as the worst of like the OG timeline. But I also don't think they're very good, you know? I don't know, I just virtually have nothing to say, and copy and paste what I just said about Dark Phoenix with New Mutants. I will put it behind Daredevil. New Mutants is really, really, really boring. Literally nothing happens for like a good hour, and then at the end they try to tie it with Logan with like the kids. Like the facility being the same as it was in Logan. And it's just, why did you have to tie yourself to Logan? Why did you have to tie yourself to Logan? You could have just been your own standalone universe. The best thing that happens in this movie, to me at least, is the fact that I'm interested in reading on the New Mutants, because I actually never read New Mutants. And also, another thing I would say. I find it extremely interesting that this movie was actually going to be worse. And Storm wasn't gonna be a warden in this film, which I don't gotta tell you how bad of an idea that is. That is just such a stupid idea. Because, like, that goes against everything Storm represents. Like, it's just stupid that this is the most interesting thing about this film is just not even the film itself, you know? Like, what can I even tell you about this film? What can I even remember about this film? There was a guy who had a country accent, a girl with a sword, I don't know, some gay romance, I don't know. Like, I got nothing to say about New Mutants, alright? Like, if I have virtually nothing to say about Dark Phoenix, I have essentially nothing to say about, like, New Mutants. Like, the thing with this continuity is the fact that most of this new continuity, I have nothing to say. Compared to, like, the worst of the last movies, where I had a lot of interesting things to say. I don't know, just... Okay. Final movie. Deadpool Wolverine. I consider this my Deadpool Wolverine rapid fire. Where do I put this? Where am I gonna put this? Where am I gonna put this? Where am I gonna put this? Why do you exist? Oh, why do you exist? Yeah, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna put this in good movie. I'm gonna put this in good movie, and I'll even put it above Deadpool 1. Okay, so I've already said, like, I'm not that big of a Deadpool fan, and when I went into this film, I was extremely excited for it. Like, I was so hyped for this film, genuinely. I kept on, like, looking at the news when the movie came out. I was looking at, like, all, like, the reviews and stuff like that and reading through them. Like, there is so much about this film that I read up on that I was super excited for. And then it hit me that, like, while watching the film, it hit me that, oh yeah, I'm not a Deadpool fan, and this is a Deadpool movie. And, like, don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed this film. Like, it's a good movie, alright? It's in a good movie tier. It clearly can't be that bad. It's more of the sense that, like, I did have a lot of personal biases against this movie, mainly because, like, it's a Deadpool film. How good can it be? Or at least on my end, how good can it be? Again, if you love Deadpool, I can 100% see this being in, like, great or peak X-Men tier for you. But it's a movie that I appreciate more than I like, to be honest with you. Because, like, there's a lot of great stuff in this movie. And I think this movie, compared to any other MCU film, has some of the most personality I've seen. Like, the beginning intro itself just has so much personality just baked into it. But I think, again, the main thing with me in this movie is just the simple fact that I just don't care about Deadpool. I like this version of Deadpool a lot. You know, I grew to enjoy Ryan Reynolds' interpretation of the character. But that doesn't automatically mean, like, I'm gonna automatically enjoy anything Deadpool is in, you know? It's a movie that I appreciate more than I like, and especially after seeing, like, all the Fox Universe movies, I can comfortably say that this was a nice little treat at the end, you know? I enjoyed a lot from this movie. Like, I enjoyed, like, Deadpool and Wolverine's relationship. I enjoyed the cameos that appeared that I will not spoil, so don't worry. And I just enjoyed just watching the film in general. It was overall just a really fun film, even if I did have my issues. Like, I think this is the least funniest Deadpool movie out of the trilogy. Mainly because a lot of the jokes just kind of felt like, man, we waited years for this. If only they would have just tried to be comic accurate. And Deadpool just winking at the camera, which is something that I praised the first two movies for not doing with their humor. Like, overall, I don't hate this movie's humor. Like, there were jokes that did get me. More than I just kind of, like, got annoyed with it real quick. And I think, again, this has a lot of great action segments. This has a lot of great action parts. It's just overall just a really fun movie. Like, it won't be a great movie in the sense of how No Way Home or Spider-Verse or Infinity War was, where it brings all these characters together while also having a really good story with them. But it knows what it is, it knows what it wants to be, and I can't really dock the movie for doing that. So, yeah, it's going in the good movie tier. And that's my ranking. Just to repeat my ranking to you, worst to best, Fantastic, The New Mutants, Daredevil, X-Men Last Stand, X-Men Dark Phoenix, Elektra, X-Men Origins Wolverine, X-Men Apocalypse, Deadpool 2, Fantastic Four, Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer, X-Men, Deadpool 1, yeah, it's Deadpool 1, Deadpool 1, X-Men, Deadpool and Wolverine, the Wolverine X2, X-Men First Class, X-Men Days of Future Past, and finally, Logan. That is it. Let me just kind of zoom out a bit. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Oh. That's it. That's my entire ranking. Look at that. So yeah, that's about it. Get out of here.